Up next, our final speaker for the day, we have Zach Prusak, which I know you guys have met him already, but I'll give him his formal introduction. Zach Prusak currently works with Tall Timber Research Station as a wildland fire training specialist. In this role, he works with the state, federal, local, private conservation groups, and landowners to create and promote fire training opportunities and to facilitate on-the-ground partnerships through collaborative efforts such as fire councils, prescribed burn associations, and the like. Zach also works as the chair of the Coalition of Prescribed Fire Councils. Zach has close to 35 years of fire experience. He's qualified as a prescribed burn boss type 2, RXB2, and a state certified prescribed burn manager in Florida. He also provides voiceovers and that kind of work for a variety of projects. So if you need that kind of help, he's your man. And with that, Zach Prusak.
Thanks. Thanks, baby.
Yeah, so I guess Rick Anderson left because it was a shock when he said it's no longer the 1970s and no longer the 1980s. So I've got a pair of bell bottoms and a Miami Vice jacket I need to get rid of if anybody is interested. Those of you youngsters don't get that, come on. Yes, I'm the last speaker. This will not take long. This is basically an update on the training that Tall Timbers will be providing over the next couple of years. First of all, who gets my training emails? Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. I could sell all of your, no, that would be wrong. Well, great. We are challenged with, in this day and age of so much information and a computer in our pockets with, getting this. And so I'm glad that, those of you who raised your hands do you enjoy it? Do you like it? Is it good? Okay, good. Yeah. It's difficult to get this word out about training, and there are more prescribed fire councils than ever before. We have like 43 now. I just got an email that New York we're going to have a meeting next week. They're going to have a fire council. And so what started here in Florida has expanded throughout the country, which is really cool. Prescribed burn associations, who here has heard of them? They weren't in Florida for a long time, but now we've got like two. There's about 150 of them, which are basically private landowners primarily getting together to help each other burn. And so with all of this going on, and with the current generation of burners aging out, for example, me, I'm only 21, but this is what fire does to you. There are a lot of people that are retiring. I am trying to recruit them into helping me teach because nothing is just like Rick, and I wish he were here. I would just praise him up and down. I learned so much from him and Rosie, who left. Everyone's leaving. And that's where you get so much of your fire information from, is being mentored. But what happens is if we have people leaving and retiring and going on to other stuff, there's a huge gap in the fire workforce. And so there are a lot of young folks and not so young folks coming up through the ranks. They need training. The amount of training that's required has expanded. When I first joined the Florida Park Service, again, a long time ago, back when the fire triangle had two sides, that's how long that was. Hey, I'm here all day. There was no requirement for any NWCG training, none. And if you're a state certified prescribed burn manager in Florida and other states, there's no requirement for NWCG training either. Pennsylvania, we just had their first state certified burn manager training in August, very first one, and they require private landowners to take S130, S190, L180. I think there's elements of that course that are great for prescribed fire. Probably 75% of that class goes in both suppression and prescribed fire. So that's the trend that's happening. So what I'm saying is that there is a gigantic demand for more and more we call formal or classroom training. Like I say, nothing beats getting out in the woods and experiencing fear and shock. And this wasn't in my plan. That's the real world of learning. However, all the concepts that you are supposed to know in the fire world start in fire classes. So are there enough fire courses around to meet the demand? No. COVID taught us one thing, that in-person training is great until it's not. And then when your organization says you can't burn because the attorney said this without having X, Y, and Z, and now you can't get it, the fire program grinds to a halt. So since I joined Tall Timbers, and even when I was with the Nature Conservancy, we began to convert some training into online format, hybrid, if you will. And it isn't just sitting there for 8 hours watching a video. They're very interactive, college course kind of format where you're doing things on your own time. And it has been a huge success. It surprised me. When COVID hit, I was doing all of this stuff in person. In Gainesville, the S13190 L180, 5 days, in the IFAS building, 4 days on your butt, listening to a lot of people do this to you all day. After 3 days of that, maybe 2 days, you have zoned out. And yes, there's a lot to be gained in person for sure. But what happened, the NWCG also gave a wide range of approval to converting much of the material to some sort of online learning as long as all the objectives were met. Since I got to Tall Timbers, we've been doubling down on that and creating hybrid versions of S131, 13190, L180, working with the University of Idaho there's a new S290. However, there's also plans, and I'll just talk about it in a second, for an online master burner class, which would be geared specifically to non-fed fire practitioners, private landowners, anyone who does not want to be an RXB2 and doesn't need to be a really good burner. And I'll just say that up front, as I have feet in both worlds, and I have met private landowners without any NWCG training who I would trust with my life on any fire because they're that good. Similarly, there's a lot to be learned from the NWCG and how they obsess with death and fatality and injury. So there's a lot to be learned on that end. I have got to the point, and you've heard me talk about it last year, where we're going to do these, we're doing them. And we have the next 2 years, roughly, of these courses scheduled and proposed. So S130, 190, L180, the base of entry-level firefighting, and I would say fire lighting, it is a nonstop demand. I also still work with University of Florida Natural Areas Training Academy on their 130, 190. I just met Christian, took the class just now. Who here has taken or knows someone who took the 130, 190, L180 through the NADA class? Anyone? So what's your comment on that?
Oh, so I personally didn't take it through NADA, but all of my AmeriCorps members, I've sent 5 people through that course, and it works out really well because they're working full time, and I mean they can do it on work time, but it gives them sort of flexibility to work around the schedule, the other tasks and duties that they have in their job, and then they get to do the live fire day still in person, usually at Ordway Swisher because that's closest. So it's been a really positive experience for all of them.
Here's your $20. Excellent. Yeah, so it fills up quickly again because so many of the folks that are entering the Florida Park Service, this is just us. Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the Florida Forest, between the 3 state agencies, I think it's 5 million acres they manage. So that even those agencies need so many people. So those are always going to be in demand, and we're going to create more offerings of them and try to ask many other partners if they want to hold a field day. One of my plans is to have this on a nationwide basis, that you basically can take it if you're in Alaska. And if you have someone in Alaska that can host a field day, fantastic, just sort of make sure that they understand what they have to do. So that is ongoing and will continue to be expanded. The S131, the firefighter type 1, the NWCG is in the process of changing it. It may not, because it's changed before. It used to be S131 and look up, look down combined. And so it's had its interesting journey. That is all online with the actual sand tables via Zoom. It sounds clunky, and it is, but it works pretty well as long as you have good instructors. Or you take the online version and have a sand table wherever you are. That class is in huge demand as well. And I fully believe there are elements of 131 that can be applied to private landowners and folks that aren't in the feds. The S290 intermediate fire behavior, that's also undergoing a revision, and we are going to offer at least, 1 in 25, 1 in 26, maybe 2, another in-demand class where 2 days of it are fully by yourself, online learning, and then 2 days either in person or online via Zoom again. S390, the higher level fire behavior, we're doing that next week. So this is a bit last minute. If anyone needs that, I can get you in. I can't put you up for lodging, but if you can get to Tall Timbers, I can get you in. That one is all in person. It's a very rigorous class, lots of behave runs. But again, if you want to be an RXB2, you got to have that. The L280, we're going to offer that in Georgia in person. The RX300, which is it used to be RX301, 341, which is really a Fed version of a state certified burn class. And there's actually probably, I'd say 75% or more similarity between a good state certified burn course like Florida, thank you, John, and other states to that federal class. But if you need it, or if you're a private landowner who's curious about that class, I can get you into that. And that'll be all hybrid online. The RX310, which is the ecological effects, which as far as I know, hasn't been offered in the South in years. We're going to put that on early next year sometime. And then smoke. So the federal RX410 smoke management class, which is it's a 20-year-old class, hasn't been modified, which is why we have really top-notch instructors on that. That'll be in person in Georgia and Tall Timbers. And again, if anyone is interested in taking that, definitely let me know. And then this Master Burner course, what the heck is that? Who here has heard of a Master Naturalist course? Who here has taken that? You have taken that. What did you like about that?
5-day intensive, and I got a lot in 5 days and immersive.
Cool. So there are a lot of people that will never take a state certified burn class. They don't want to be a burn boss. They don't want to lead a fire. Again, I'm 21. See what it does to me. Leading a fire is stressful, but that does not mean you shouldn't be able to learn all of that in those classes. So the idea behind this class is we're going to take, if you've seen Leslie Bobby's guidebook for fire in the Southern region, it's really good. Should have brought copies. We're going to take elements of her book and make them online courses, online units, and then augment with, you want to learn more about quail management, turkey, deer. Basically, go down any rabbit hole you want. You want to learn about rabbits? Okay. So anything associated with management from a fire perspective that you only got exposed to maybe an hour or 2 hours if you take the Florida course or Georgia or any state class, this is where you're going to learn more. Do you want to learn more about what I want to open up Rick's head. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. And I want to get out of his head all the stuff he talks about on from a fire perspective, history and culture and all of that stuff. Put that into a course. Because eventually Rick won't say yes to us asking him to, come here and talk. And yes, this is all recorded, but ultimately I would love to put all that stuff into some sort of course format where you could take whatever you want. And at the same time, there's so many fascinating elements of fire that I want to be able to offer up to anyone that wants to learn. And so we've got 2 years to get this done and funding from a couple of sources. So many of you in this audience, I may be reaching out to as subject matter experts to let other people know, what else is out there in the fire world. Any questions on that other stuff at all? And actually, I will say, please send me an email if you have a need or a course that you don't see up there, because we will also try to put that on for you. What?
212.
So anything but 212. So thank you for saying that, because we do have rough plans with partnering with NADA in Gainesville and Ordway, because you need to have a place with lots of trees to cut down, and Ordway's got that. And so that's changing. So the federal government's going to basically come out with, instead of just S212, it's going to be S112, S212, and S312, breaking the 3 classes of sawyers into those 3 separate classes. Which I think is really good. But yes, we are gonna offer 212. So stay tuned for that. It fills up quick, but yes. Anything else that you don't see that you're interested in? Excellent. And then this, if you haven't seen this and you probably have if you're on my list, we created a 2-hour online hybrid smoke module. Are you smoke savvy? Which is sort of a refresher if you've taken state certified burning, and it's an update we do talk about the EPA rules and basically give you a refresher from your standpoint as a burn leader to manage your smoke and why that's important. All of you who are really good burners know it. And talking with Ken Parker in Georgia, they're interested in making this part of refresher if you're a state certified burner. So again, we're being preemptive and showing the EPA that we as a fire community are going to try the best we can to provide you all with the latest material to get, to make sure you are smoke savvy. So that QR code should work. This course does have continuing ed credits and it'll be available through December 20th. And then next year, we're going to relaunch it with a new QR code. And actually, that's all I have. So you all know where I am. Send me an email if you have some fire training you want, or if you want to be a part of that master burner course, because I will say one more quick thing. And this is no secret, as much as I like to talk and like to hear my voice, I really need other people to narrate this stuff. I need a wide diversity of backgrounds, of history, why you burn, to be a face and a voice in all these classes. Because again, fire doesn't care what patches we wear, and they want us all represented. But thank you.